Did your quail suddenly stop laying eggs or really slow down on laying eggs? We're going to talk about why in today's video. Oh, look, there's another one back there. Did you just lay this egg? So, all right. Nice egg haul today. Got 7 eggs out of you guys. Been only getting 5, so. Hey there, welcome back to another slightly rednecked video. Again, my name's Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, or even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. And today we're going to talk about why your quail may have stopped laying eggs. This is a topic I've discussed in video before, but it came up in this week's live broadcast probably 4 or 5 times. I had 4 or 5 people ask why their quail were, they were laying 8 or 9 eggs and now suddenly they're getting 4 or 5 eggs a day. Or why their quail just stopped laying altogether, or why they haven't started laying. They're like 18 weeks old and they haven't started laying yet. So I figured I'd go ahead and address that in another video, just in case you're a new subscriber, a new viewer. It can be a little tricky to go back and find videos that are taking place in the past sometimes, so we'll get that covered for you today if that is your issue. All right, so the biggest reason that quail lay eggs or don't lay eggs is the amount of light that they get. They need 14 hours a day of light in order to lay eggs on a consistent basis. That's just the way their biology works. In fact, that's pretty much the case with any bird. Your chickens, any of those things, they need about 14 hours a day of light in order to lay eggs consistently. So depending on where you live, like I'm in Southwest Missouri, I'm in the United States. 2 days ago was the first day of fall, and today we've got 12 hours from the time the sun comes up till the time the sun goes down. That's not 14 hours a day of light. So if you're in the same situation, you're in the same part of the world that I'm in, that's probably the biggest issue that you're having right now. If you don't add an external light to them, they're not going to keep laying eggs because they're going into winter, and that signifies it's time for them to stop laying eggs. So what can you do about that? Like I said, you can add an external light source of some kind to extend the daylight a couple of hours a day. What I use are these solar lights right here. They're on a timer, a programmable timer. I know you probably can't see that very well, but I can set the time for that to come on whenever I want it to and set it to go off whenever I want it to. So right now I have it coming on at about 4:30 in the morning, and it stays on until about 7:30 in the morning. By that time the sun is up, and that extends the daylight by about 2.5 hours a day. So my birds are laying pretty good. I got a great haul out of them today. I got 6 eggs out of them today, and I've only been getting about 4 or 5 the past couple of days. These guys are fairly young. They've just started laying eggs within the past 3 weeks. 4 weeks maybe. So, a lot of times when your birds are new to laying eggs, when they hit that 8 to 10 week old age and they start laying eggs, they're going to be a little bit inconsistent for just a little while, even if you do have a light on them. It takes them a little while to get into the cycle of laying eggs regularly. All right, so I'm starting to ramble a little bit here. So again, add a light to your quail hutch if you want them to lay eggs all fall, all the way into the winter. This works pretty well. I will tell you that usually the shortest days of winter, around the winter solstice, right around that time until the days start to increase in daylight a little bit more for a couple of weeks there, probably about 3 weeks there, I usually don't get much egg production out of them, even with adding additional light to it. But the rest of the year, additional light will keep them laying. And of course you don't need it in the middle of summer when the days are 14 hours a day or whatever, 16 hours a day of daylight. That natural light's going to be plenty to keep them laying on a regular basis. Now, as far as what kind of light you need to add, it doesn't need to be a super bright light. You can add a string of Christmas lights up around there. You can get a solar light that just comes on automatically at night, stays on, until it runs out of battery. I kind of like this option here because I can set the timer. It's not just keeping them in light all night long. They're able to have a period of darkness, which I think is kind of important for them for the just natural cycle that all animals go through. They need a period of darkness to sleep, period of bright, light to wake up, depending on what kind of animal they are. Some of them sleep during the day and up at night, but you get what I'm saying. All right, so let's assume that you've got a hutch that has an external light. Oh, by the way, I should mention, unfortunately, you can't get these lights. These are my own design. I tried to bring them to market, ran a couple of Kickstarter campaigns, couldn't get them funded. So right now, they're just not available for sale at this point. If at some point in the future that does change, I'll make sure I announce it on this channel, and you guys will have the option to buy those lights, of course. All right, so let's assume that you've got a light on your hutch. You're getting them 14 hours a day of light, but they're still not laying eggs. There's a couple of other reasons why your birds won't lay eggs. Stress factors are the other main reason why they quit laying eggs, and your birds can get stressed stressed out pretty easily. One thing they do not like is being moved. So if you've got them in a hutch like this and you'd want to move them to another hutch or move them to a ground cage or something like that, and you make that move, they're probably going to lay eggs for the next couple of days and then shut down for about 2 weeks, a week and a half, something like that. The stress of moving them from one place to another is going to cause them to quit laying eggs. Now, you may have bought quail from somebody, and on the way home they laid an egg, or maybe they laid an egg in the hutch when you put them in there the next day, and then no more eggs. That's because those eggs were already in their cycle. It takes several days for an egg from the time it starts to develop to the time it's actually laid. So if you've got eggs, or you've got quail that are laying eggs and you move them to a new location, they'll still lay eggs for another couple of days, and then they'll shut down, and they'll shut down for about 2 weeks. Just leave them alone. They'll pick back up whenever they calm down. It's going to be fine. Other things that can stress them out are predators. I've had a fox that came around here, if you guys saw my other video, and was really tormenting the quail. I put some electric wire around the bottom of the hutches here. That's kept them away. And that's why the eggs production has suddenly started to pick up. This was 6 days ago that I put the electric wire around there. Haven't seen him since. I was getting about 4 eggs a day before that. I got 6 eggs today. So they finally calmed down from that predator pressure that's been on. So that could be something that can happen. If you've got a predator that's coming around and pestering your birds, a fox, a raccoon, anything like that that's coming around and really giving them a hard time. This fox was here like all night long, really trying to get into the hutches. It wasn't just a one time, he just came by and then left. He was here all night long, and he ended up getting a couple of birds out of the other hutch, pulling them through the bottom wire. So, stringing up that electric wire ran him off, and they've calmed down, and now they're starting to lay again. So that, again, that could be another thing, is a stress factor. And there are a couple other reasons why birds quit laying eggs or don't lay eggs for a while, and that would be if they're molting, for example. They do tend to molt right at the change of the seasons for some reason. And you'll know that because your birds are all scraggly looking, they're losing all these feathers, and it doesn't look quite right. You'll know they're molting probably. You might think initially that it's aggression from other birds, but usually when they're molting, there's not big open wounds on them. They're not pecked up around the face. That's usually where you're going to see aggression from other birds, is they're going to go for their face, around their eyes. So you're going to see wounds around their eyes and their face. Now you may see other birds pulling at the feathers of the birds that are molting. That's usually a sign that the protein levels are a little bit low, and you may need to bump the protein in your food level up a little bit. But as far as aggression, that usually when they're molting, you can kind of figure out that that's what's going on. They'll stop laying eggs during that time generally. Sometimes they'll lay a couple of eggs here and there, but they won't be real consistent with the egg laying. Just give them a little while to get over it. They'll start laying eggs again. And those are pretty much the main reasons why your quail stopped laying eggs, or maybe didn't even start. If you've got young birds that just hit 8 to 10 weeks old, somewhere right around in there when they should start laying eggs, but again, you're not providing a light source for them, they're either not going to start laying until next season, or they're going to be real sporadic, real slow to lay, and they'll only lay a few eggs before they shut down for the season, because again, the days are getting shorter. It's just nature at work. So if you want to add an extra light source to it and bump up that daylight a couple of hours a day, get it up to 14 hours a day, then your birds are going to start laying. Give them about a week or two of that, and you should start getting pretty good egg production out of your birds. Again, as far as the type of light, it's not really that important. Don't stress about it. Pretty much any type of light is going to work. As long as you can just enough light to read by. That's all you need, really. If you can read something by that light, it's going to be plenty bright enough to provide them with that extra light that they need. And I don't think it really matters what color it is either. I've got a slightly bluer light on the other hutch, and I've got a slightly oranger light on this hutch. They're both kind of white lights, but one has a little bit of a blue tint to it, one has a little bit of an orangish tint to it. Both of them work just fine. It doesn't really matter what kind of light you have, what color they are, just any kind of light. Give them a couple extra hours of light a day. They're going to start laying pretty quick. All right, so a couple of you guys have asked about the one-legged quail I've got in the other hutch. So while we're doing this, I've pretty much got that topic wrapped up. So if that was your only question, you can go ahead and log off if you want to, or you can watch the rest of the video. But we'll go take a look at the hop-along quail over here, the one-legged quail. Again, the fox got into the hutch. Well, he didn't get into it, but he pulled them through the bottom wire, was grabbing their legs and pulling them through. He got one of this bird's, he got one leg off this bird. So this bird only has one leg remaining, but he's doing fine. So I haven't called him. I've watched him pretty closely. He's not acting like he's in pain. He's getting around fine. He's eating fine. He's getting both sides of the hutch just fine. So I'm going to let him grow out, and I don't see any reason to call him out. He just doesn't seem to be stressed out that much. I think he's going to be fine. But these are all grow outs, are about, I don't know, maybe going on 5 weeks old probably at this point. So let me take you over there. We'll take a look at him. Open this side of the hutch up. And there he is right there. You can see him kind of hopping around, maybe. Here, get back here. Come on, come on, come on. He's right. He's this one right here back in the corner back there. I don't know if you guys can see him. Let me bring the camera in a little close. There he goes. He has a little bit of trouble getting over that, but he makes it over. And now all the other birds are on this side of the hutch. But again, he's getting around just fine. He's getting to the water. He's getting to the food. I mean, he's definitely not, you know, quite as spry as the other birds are, but he's not, I mean, his eyes look fine. They look bright and shiny. He's not looking like he's overly stressed or in, you know, tremendous amounts of pain or anything like that. So I think he's going to be fine. And one last thing, in case you're wondering, you know, I put up the electric wire around here. If you saw that video about the fox at the quail hutches, you know that I put up electric wire around there. He's done a great job of keeping the fox off of him. He has not been back yet. My dog did discover the electric wire. He did that this morning while I was collecting eggs. I didn't know he was back behind the hutch. And all of a sudden he just let out this yelp, yelped and ran all the way back into the backyard, just yelping as loud as could be. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. It's dark out. Everybody's asleep in the neighborhood. I hope he didn't wake anybody up, but he's fine. He recovered from that just fine. It just startled the heck out of him. But so far he hasn't got back into it yet. So he's learned his lesson. He's a pretty smart dog. Hopefully he doesn't have to test that out again. I've been trying to keep him off of it, but I just wasn't paying much attention to him there. He just scared the heck out of me. I didn't know what hit him at first, but anyway, he's doing okay. All right, guys, that's about it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I answered your questions if you had them. And as always, God bless.